What's good, guys? So today's video is just going to be a simple one on 5 tips for younger goalkeepers. This is going to be mainly directed at younger goalkeepers who want to play the college level in the future, maybe the pro level. So this video is really going to help you guys that are taking the game seriously and want to improve and to play at the highest level possible for you. So the first tip for anyone familiar with the channel should come with no surprise, and that is just to master your basic techniques. So this goes from anything from handling, knowing how to properly catch a ball with maybe a basket catch, if it's into your chest using a W or diamond technique, front smothers, how to approach crosses, all of that stuff, and just dealing with routine shots. You guys need to make sure that you are mastered that and that you are working on that every day that you're training, just simple handling drills. You also need to make sure that you guys are working on your distribution all the time with goal kicks, passing, side volleys, throwing, just because it's so much easier to build the proper technique, especially with your feet at a younger age, and trying to switch bad habits that you have when you're older or something like that. So definitely when you guys are training at a younger age, you want to work on your feet as much as possible. You also have to make sure that you know how to, or at least learning how to properly commute with your defense. I have a whole video on this that is great for beginners, but that's another huge important aspect of the game that is often overlooked at the younger age. So you guys need to know how to communicate with your defenders, which means that you actually need to have a basic understanding of tactics as well, so that you're actually giving them the right information. Like, for example, if your team is being countered against and you have a striker pushing up the field, you have 1 or 2 defenders that are between you and the attacker, you might want to tell them to drop back a bit to slow up the striker and give time for the rest of your defense to recover. But this you'll get better with as you play in more games and you start to understand the game better. But for a start, you guys need to at least be talking with your defenders. If someone's on their left, the right, if you want them to push up, drop back, it's just something that is very useful to start doing at a younger age. You guys also need to be focusing on your footwork. We're knowing how to properly shuffle, or when to use a crossover step, how to use a crossover step, knowing to take small steps before you get set, which just builds into your positioning as well. You need to be aware of how close you want to be to the front post, to the back post. All of this just comes with experience, which you're going to get through training and in games as well. But just in general, you guys are going to want to be drilling all of these basic things like handling, positioning, footwork, distribution into your muscle memory at a younger age. It's just going to help you progress quicker as you get older. And in general, that's what coaches are going to want to see you excel at. They're not going to care as much when you're 14, 13, if you can make an upper 90 save, or if you can do some flashy reaction saves. A lot of that, they'll care more later, because at a younger age, what coaches want is just a core foundation that you understand the position, you understand the basic techniques, and then they can work with you from there. Because any coach would much rather have a kid who can pass the ball, save a shot by holding it, and communicate with his defense, and someone that can just go out and make a couple upper 90 saves but doesn't know how to actually catch a ball. So just when you guys are starting out, really don't worry about the upper 90 saves. Don't worry about the super flashy saves that you can post to Instagram. All that stuff will come later. But if you start working on that too much when you're younger, you're going to fall back behind on the things that actually matter. The second tip for you guys is that you need to be on a team. Games are where keepers will improve the most. It's where you gain the most experience, and it's why we play. We play so that you can perform in games. That's why you train. That's why you do everything, is so that you perform in games. So there's no reason of doing all this training if you're not playing in any games. A team environment in general is also extremely important to be in. Just you can see live shots. You can start reading the game a bit better, just going against guys actually playing and trying to score instead of just in training by yourself or with a goalkeeper coach, where for the most part everything's kind of set up, you're in your comfort zone, you know what to prepare for, and then once you guys start playing live, you start realizing how much quicker everything happens, and you start learning how to react to those. And for this, it's just important to know that any level is better than not playing at all. So say you're in between seasons or you don't have a team, go play pickup, go play for your brother's rec team. Just try to find games. Even if it's not the level that you think you should be at, there's always something you can be working on. Or maybe you want to work on your distribution in this game, play some balls that you normally wouldn't. You can also maybe test out playing as a sweeper keeper, where you start playing higher off your line, where you know if you get chipped, it's a game that isn't of that much importance, and you can start experimenting a bit more and seeing what works and what doesn't. A lot of issues that keepers run into really at any level, this isn't just the younger level, is that would you rather be on a team at a higher level and maybe be the number 2 option, or would you rather be starting at a lower level? And this is really going to depend on just the specific situation you're in, where a lot of times I believe that it is most important that you're getting games. If you're training with a really good team but you don't play in any games, that might not be the best option for you, but there's usually ways to work around this, where maybe you can work a deal with the coach of whatever the team that is the better team or the better level of play that you have, that you can ask them, well, can I train with you guys, play games with another team? Maybe they can set you up with some friendlies. Usually you can find a way to set up the best situation for you. For this, it's just going to be important to talk to your coach or your parents just to see what you think the best option for you is. But generally, it's not going to help you a ton if you're only training and you're not getting any games in. So you really want to try to find a team where you at least have an option or the chance to get some minutes in so you can help develop yourself as a player. Which leads us into tip number 3, which is that you guys need to find a training partner. So this really shouldn't be too difficult with social media, where you can find people on Instagram, TikTok, wherever. You just need to find someone, another goalkeeper that wants to train, lives around you, to where you guys can go in a field and train together. Because this way you can get in extra training. Say your team's in the off season, so they're not training at all, or maybe the club only trains a couple times a week. You want to train more because you guys aren't really going to be able to progress too much if you're only training 2 or 3 times a week. You're going to want closer to 4 or 5 sessions a week. And if you find someone to train with, it also gives you the option to work on specifically what you want to. Maybe with your club, your goalkeeper coach doesn't work on crosses as much as you'd like. So you can go out training with a partner. You guys can really focus on crosses, or you can focus on low shots, handling, really anything. It's really nice where you can set up your session and really just focus on what you want to improve on the most. But for this to be effective, you actually have to know how to serve. When this means with volleys, drop kicks, clipping the ball off the ground in their chest, and a lot of this just has to do with accuracy. You guys have to know how to serve the other keepers when training, because if you can't hit a ball into a keeper's chest, then they're not going to want to train with you. They're just going to waste their time doing all the work through the cone or the footwork, and then they get for the shot and it goes over the goal or it goes wide, and they just aren't able to work on what they want to. So for this, you guys are going to have to learn how to serve. But if you do know how to serve, it can open up a ton of training options for you. Like just in my off season now, I'm training with another guy in the USL Championship, a D1 keeper in Ivy League school, and then we have a 15-year-old in high school who comes out with us. And none of us have any issue with him coming out to train with us because he can actually serve the ball really well. So usually if you have a good service, you're going to be able to get into sessions. Goalkeepers, even if they're playing at a higher level than you, they'll be fine with you coming into their sessions if you can hit the ball just as well as they can. So the 4th tip is about building and maintaining connections. So football and a lot of things in life in general are based around who you know. And it's not fair, but you can start using it to your advantage if you realize this at a younger age. You really want to be building a web of connections as wide as possible, just because you never know who's going to be able to help you out in a specific situation in the future. So it's better to have multiple options that might be able to help you out than not enough. For this to work, though, you need to be making good impressions with your coaches. And a lot of times this is just through attitude. Obviously, if you can play, that's going to be a big factor. But if you go to training every day, if you're on time, if you work hard, if you have a positive attitude, that goes a long way in a coach deciding to recommend you to another club or another coach. Because when you're recommending another player, you're putting your name on the line too. If you say, yeah, this keeper's really good, he's going to be great in training, try him out, let him come to your club, and he goes there and he's an absolute mess, he's a head case, he's causing problems at training, then they're not going to listen to that coach for any more players. So really, coaches are very picky on who they want to recommend, and a lot of that just comes through your attitude at training, which leads into is you guys can't be burning any bridges. If you're not getting play time and you're not happy about your situation at a specific club, you can't just start yelling at the coach. You can't just start whining and maybe not coming to training, maybe not trying in training. Actually talk to the coach to sort out a resolution. A lot of times they'll have no issues if you say, hey, I'm not happy with this situation, I want to try to find another team. And if you've been training hard, if they think you're a good player, you have a good attitude, they'll have no issue trying to help you find a new club. And once you guys make these connections, you got to actually maintain them. So that could be something as simple as just checking in on them, seeing how their team's doing, seeing how they're doing, wishing them a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Just make sure you have some form of contact with them so that you don't talk to them for a year and you realize that they might be able to help you out with something, and then you're sending them a message asking them for help, because no one likes getting a message from someone they haven't talked to in years just asking something from them. They will feel used and they're probably not going to put as much of effort to actually help you out. So just make sure that you guys are maintaining these connections as well, so it's a more authentic relationship. And the last tip for you guys, you're young, just don't stress too much about your mistakes. Every goalkeeper has made countless mistakes. You've made countless mistakes. You're going to make countless more as long as you keep playing. Especially at a young age, you cannot get too frustrated from these mistakes. Goalkeeping in general is regarded as one of, if not the hardest position in all of sports, which makes it extremely difficult for a 14, 15-year-old to actually be playing effectively. It takes a bit more to learn about the position than all the field players, so sometimes you feel like you're a bit behind in skill-wise, but you'll catch up eventually as long as you keep playing. As long as you don't stress over these mistakes too much and you try to use them as learning points of how to avoid doing whatever mistake you made, how to fix it, maybe thinking of a different way to approach it. So you guys definitely think about what you did, but it's not the time to really stress. Because in the long run, no one's going to care about some goal you conceded when you were 14 or 15. There's not going to be a game at that age range that is going to make or break your career. Yeah, you might have a really good game and then you might get a trial with some academy club, but you're still going to have to perform there. And say in that same game you played really badly and they're not interested. You just have to keep working forward and wait for your next opportunity, since you really just have to think about the long term. If you guys start thinking short term, you're just going to be stressed 24/7. It's going to affect your game. You're not going to be sleeping well. You're going to be nervous on the pitch. So really just focus on the long term. Yeah, you made a mistake. Yeah, you had a bad game. It happens. So just go to training the next week. Try to work through whatever issues you had and try to be better next match. Because when you guys are young, you're going to get countless opportunities to prove yourself. And as long as you've been training right, you've been focusing on the proper things, and you've been making just a really good effort to be a better goalkeeper, you're going to improve, and it's going to open up more doors in the long run. So that's the video, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Go to Goluremi GK on Instagram. Also check out goalremi.com. We got a bunch of gloves from Aviata, a bunch of training equipment that you guys can buy. Help support the channel. Till next time.
Down in flames, call up Geico, I know, I go run that city out in Kansas, slapping in the cut like bandage, I do damage, Vandal handle me, these bosses cannot manage me, I am the king of canopy, so rumble in the jungle, I go